Daniel Craig finally gives in to Cillian Murphy as James Bond. A gentle rain falls on the roof of a luxurious London mansion, where Daniel Craig sits alone in the living room, lost in thought. He had long ago decided that No Time to Die would be his last film as James Bond. People used to say that he was the last man to bring the character to life, one who would never be replaced. But now, he is no longer so sure. It's exhausting, Daniel mumbles to himself, leaning back on the sofa and running a hand through his silver hair. He has played Bond for nearly 15 years, going through countless challenges, not only the stunts but also the arguments with producers, directors, and especially himself. Although the public always praises him, no one understands that the pressure of playing an iconic role like James Bond can destroy a person's psychology. The endless shoots, the dangerous stunts, the intense scenes, all made him feel like a shadow of himself. He was no longer Daniel Craig, he was just Bond. And the inevitable rumor began to spread, Cillian Murphy. Yes, Cillian Murphy, the man with the piercing blue eyes and mysterious look, had been chosen to replace Daniel Craig as James Bond in the next 007 film. No way, Daniel thought to himself. It can't be Cillian. He's too different. But after all, even Daniel couldn't deny that Cillian had a distinct charm. He had a cool look, a quiet demeanor, and especially a powerful acting ability. Cillian's roles, from Scarecrow in Batman Begins to Thomas Shelby in Peaky Blinders, have a layer of depth, a darkness that James Bond might need in a modern story. Although Daniel has always refused to be interviewed directly about the matter, he cannot help but see pictures of Cillian in the tabloids, smiling brightly next to the 007 symbol, while he is still struggling in the shadows of his career. He cannot deny that the fans are on Cillian's side. And that makes him jealous. One day, an important meeting of the Bond producers takes place in London. It is a meeting that Daniel cannot avoid, even though he wants it to be over as quickly as possible. He entered the room in a bad mood, but then he saw the only man who could make him feel like he wasn't alone in the race, Barbara Broccoli, the producer of the Bond series, waiting for him. Daniel, Barbara smiled, "We need to talk." Daniel looked around the room, feeling heavy. All the people present were big names in the film industry. But their eyes weren't on him, they were on Cillian Murphy, who had just appeared and stood next to Barbara. "It's nice to meet you, Daniel," Cillian said, his voice soft but sharp. Daniel nodded, trying to keep his composure. "Cillian," he replied, smiling tiredly. "I really didn't expect to have to face you like this." Barbara began to speak, cutting through the tension. "Daniel, everyone loves you. We all know you brought a new and powerful Bond. But now we're at a crossroads. The Bond franchise needs a change, a turning point, to continue moving forward. Daniel couldn't help it, his voice hardened. I understand. But I've been Bond for so many years. Cillian, what can he bring to Bond that I can't? Cillian said nothing, just listened silently, his eyes as calm as ever. He knew this was the biggest confrontation of his career, but he felt no fear. Cillian was not a man for show. He knew he could do it. Barbara continued, Cillian can bring a different Bond. Not a replacement, but a transition. He can continue the story, but in a way that suits what the audience is looking for. No, Daniel protested, his voice growing stronger. Bond is an icon. It can't be a joke, or a wave of change. Cillian spoke, calm but firm. Bond is not an eternal icon. It is an archetype that can be reborn in every generation. I'm not here to replace you, Daniel. I'm here to take Bond into a new era, a new era that requires daring. Daniel stood up, unable to contain his anger. So you think you can do it? Change James Bond? Turn a cold man into a completely different character? Barbara looked at Daniel, her smile softening, but her eyes filled with determination. He can do it. And we need to give Cillian a chance. You've done your job, Daniel. But it's time for another generation to take the wheel. Daniel fell silent, his eyes fixed on Cillian. After a long moment, he sighed. Okay, he said, his voice softening. If this is what you want, then I won't stand in your way. But remember, you're changing a piece of history. Barbara and Cillian looked at each other, and finally, Barbara's smile broke. Thank you, Daniel. We know it won't be easy. Cillian stepped closer to Daniel, placing his hand on his shoulder. Thank you, Daniel. I can't replicate what you did, but I will try to bring a Bond worthy of what you created. Daniel looked at Cillian again, his eyes softening. Good luck, Cillian. I'm sure you will do it. And from there, the new journey of James Bond officially began, with a new face, a new style, but still keeping the essence of the character that everyone loves. Cillian Murphy will enter the world of 007, and no matter how much it changes, Bond will always be a symbol of boldness, strength and never giving up.